Hello viewers and welcome to Club 100 SP40 at Clay Pigeon. We're going to get straight into race 1 here. I qualified 10th, although qualifying was damp, whereas now we're in full wet conditions. So as you can see, everyone's trying to fight for their position in turn 1. Johnson Moot runs wide, getting caught on the curb, but then going through the chicane we get pushed wide ourselves. Thanks for that, Ewan. And he will get the traction on the outside line, while Jean also outdrags us down the straight into hairpin 1. Dave Cottrell pokes his nose in as well, but runs wide and gets it all out of shape under braking, as we gain 2 positions from that, going up into 11th place, which personally I think is a good start, considering we were on the outside of turn 1, trying to take the best line possible through this turn here. And then going into the final corner, Ewan decides to send it down the inside of João Pinto as we try and follow him through, but don't quite get the traction. Through Billy's blind, the fast left-hander at the start of lap 2, trying to take the widest line possible. Johnson Moot pokes his nose around the outside of us and gets the move done, and then sends it up the inside of João through the chicane, although he then runs wide over the sausage curb. Going down the straight now, we go into the back of João under braking. We may get a contact warning for that, although we still do get the move done. Trying our best to stick on the back of Jean here, who he is currently 2nd in the championship, so I wouldn't be surprised if he then clears off into the distance. Going into the final corner here, we get caught on the paint though, and that was one of the problems in these wet conditions. Because you had no grip there, you had to turn it earlier than you might have thought, and that was something, as you will see, that was catching me out throughout the race. We skip to the start of lap 3 here through Billy's once again, as we try and get the cut back on Hugo Eriksson through turn 1. We do go through the chicane quite smoothly though, and also get a good exit going down the straight. We do brake a little bit later than him though through hairpin 1 to try our best to set up a switchback, which nearly does work, although he's still on our inside though. As we go through the horseshoe, we are on the outside line, so we will get a better exit. However, he will then also be on the better line going through the next turn and just about tucks in ahead. However, he also gets caught on the paint and runs wide outside of the final corner. We do have good bottom end on this kart, so nearly pull alongside through Billy's, although, oh Hugo, that was close. Drifting it through turn 1 there as we nearly touch. He is still on our inside though, and will have the inside for the chicane, and does eventually get past. We get it wrong, however, going through the chicane on the exit of the sausage curb, as Ewan, Alistair, and now there's opportunity for someone else. That's Toby Wykes, and also Justin Draper gets past as well as we run wide through hairpin 1. So we then lose 4 positions because of that one slight mistake through the chicane. Going into lap 7 now, as yet again we just can't get the traction out of that chicane, as Dave Cottrell, I believe that is on the outside and just decides to completely mug me off going through the hairpin. Then the onslaught comes and we get overtaken once, twice, 3 times, as this time we go wide yet again out of the final corner following Charlie Summers, you can see there. Then we lose a load of momentum and this guy decides I'll have that, and overtakes me around the outside of turn 1 with a little bit of contact, which then messes up my line for the next turn as João Pinto sails around the outside, and we're not even done there as Nick Hoyle also sends it up the inside and gets past me as well. Now, after getting overtaken over and over and over again, you would have thought that I would have learnt from my mistakes by now, and that I could actually try and properly string a lap together. Ah, for fuck. So after having a meltdown on lap 10 and saying words that I can't repeat on this video, we move on to lap 11, currently sitting in 20th place, while simultaneously having lap times worse than Lance Stroll. but hopefully we can pull back some form of talent and not do anything he would do. After my pace inevitably got worse, the racing gods decided I'd have enough suffering for one race and decided to call full course yellow. This works like a virtual safety car in karting minus the controversy, so luckily this allowed me to close up to the people in front and try and salvage what had been a bit of a miserable watch up to this point. Coming to the end of the full course yellow now, that's Leo Cusden and Marcus Allen in front of us. Now Marcus gets quite a shocking run out of the final corner, which does catch me and Leo out. Unfortunately, I was the tiniest of margins in front of Leo as we crossed the line, which added insult to injury, giving me a 4-place penalty for overtaking under yellows, even though he still gets straight back past me as we cross the line. Going down the straight now, as everyone's bunched up because of the full course, there's a bit of carnage. We stick up the inside of Leo through the hairpin. Going through the horseshoe now, everyone bunches up on the inside. I'm able to get great drive around the outside and gain 2 positions out of that. And we also get past Ben Smith in the blue there on the exit as he runs a little wide. Going through the final corner now, we take a tighter line than Lewis Sills, trying to sneak it up the inside, but we don't quite get the traction. Going down the straight through Billy's, he's able to get back past. Going through the next turn, trying to get the best traction we can to follow him out of turn 2. Through the chicane, make sure we try and follow his line and get on the power down the straight as quick as possible. As we go into hairpin 1 now, I was a little tentative on the brakes, trying not to go into the back of Lewis. I knew that I already had a 4-place penalty, so to get any contact warnings at this point would be more insult to injury. Skipping ahead now to a lap later, Lewis sends it up the inside of the hairpin. We didn't get the best of exits out of the chicane, so we're unable to follow him through, unfortunately, at this point. Although we are now right on this guy's bumper as we go through the horseshoe. He has a little slide and we unfortunately get held up as Ben Smith takes full advantage of that and gets back past us. We are able to send it around the outside of that guy at the next corner though, following Ben through the final corner. And now we are going into the final lap of the race. We're currently sitting in 18th place, which would be 22nd if it was to stay like this because of our penalty. Going through turn 2 on the final lap now, trying to follow Ben as best as possible. Going through the chicane, we get the first apex, Ben misses it, and we get a much better exit than he does. He takes a look behind, goes defensive into hairpin 1. We'll try our best to get the switch back, although we don't get the best of traction. Going through the horseshoe now, we still try and follow him through. We take a little bit of a wider line to try and get an exit. We do, although there's a yellow flag, so we're unable to get past. Going through the final corner now of the final lap, there's carnage ahead of us. I take a tighter exit than Ben. About 3 people run wide, and just on the line we get 2 positions, and that is the end of the race. We finished in 20th place, including our penalty. Now let's get into race 2. Time for race 2 now. We're starting 23rd on the grid because the second race is set by fastest laps from the previous race where I showed the wet weather ability of. But as you can see now, the track is quite a lot drier, a little patchy in places, but mostly dry, which can hopefully help my pace, considering I was quite quick in these exact conditions in qualifying. Start of the race, going into turn 1, everyone's squeezing up on the inside here.
You can't park there, sir!
And João Pinto gets spun out on the apex, which luckily we were quite lucky to avoid there. We give Ben Smith a little push down the straight to try and keep momentum up as best as possible. Into hairpin 1, Ben runs wide, Charlie Summers, you can see there, is taken out, and Toby White gets caught out by Charlie as well. So up into 17th we go. Into the horseshoe, we have a little look up the inside of Nick Hoyle. Isn't quite going to work for us. through the next turn, you can see the inside of that corner is still wet and damp, which sends Nick wide, which will put us right on his bumper as we go down the straight for the first time. Flat out, start of lap 2, there's a yellow flag, no overtaking through this section, and through the chicane we go for the first time, following Nick in 17th place. A little later in the lap now, as Ewan Thomas is going to go side by side with Nick here, coming out of the horseshoe, and through the final corner he's able to get that move done, while Nick runs wide and we're able to get brilliant drive and pull alongside him through Billy's blind. We send it around the outside, a move that I would actually use quite a few times during this race, utilising the top end of this kart, which greatly benefits a track like Clay Pigeon because the slipstream effect is so strong down that straight that you are able to keep in the toe of the kart ahead for quite some time, even if the guy ahead of you is maybe a tenth or two quicker throughout a lap. Going out of the horseshoe now, through the next turn, still damp on the inside, someone gets caught out ahead, Ewan sticks up the inside and we're able to get great drive once again. Going through the final corner, we send it around the outside of both of them, there's a little bit of contact, we go sideways through the braking zone and through the chicane now. Marcus and I think that's Lewis Sills going side by side. Lewis gets spat out wide down the straight and we're able to follow Marcus through into 13th position. This is a couple of laps later now, still behind Marcus. He gets a little bit sideways through the final corner. We're able to get great drive out of it and we stick it on his bumper now as we go down the back straight, pushing him through Billy's. Then Marcus decides to die, and thanks to Marcus's demise we take another position up into P12. A little later on in the race now, through the horseshoe, you can see it's gradually getting drier and drier as the race goes on, and through the final corner now, Ewan Thomas is going to send it up the inside of us, and you can see as we get into his slipstream, you can see how strong it is going down the straight. I'm going to use that to try and catch up to the karts ahead and engage Super Saiyan.
Meh, fucking meow!
Enough of my superpowers for now, we're going to move on to lap number 20, and as you can see we've caught up to the group in front by quite the margin. The gap was around 4 seconds when Ewan overtook me, and now after working together we are right on them again. Now this was my fastest lap of the race, of 41 dead. I'm going to run you through it. Now through turn 1 you want to be braking just on that curb, making sure you stick closest to the inside as possible. Going through the chicane, get both apexes. The key here is to avoid the sausage curb on the exit. Going down the straight, just as you go over that crest, make sure you brake hard and get all of the exit curb as you go through the hairpin. Through the horseshoe, dab of brakes, keep it tight on the exit as well. Going through the next corner flat out, keep as close to the curb as possible. Going through the final corner, a bit of a late turn in, make sure it's a late apex and then use a little bit of that exit curb. Getting as much slipstream as you can down the straight from Ewan in front as we cross the line. That was a 41 dead, that was my fastest lap of the race, and we are now right on the back of Ewan to try and get past the group in front as best as possible. Skipping ahead now to a lap later, you can see we're a little bit closer to Ewan this time, although we get a bad exit out of the hairpin, which I'll be honest I regretted, because Ewan then sends it up the inside of Thomas James, I believe that is, and we are unable to follow him through, which was really a bit frustrating considering we've worked with Ewan for about 6 laps at this point just to try and get onto the back of this group. Although thanks to the slipstream and the top end capability of this kart coming down the main straight, we're able to keep within Thomas's wheel tracks, going through the chicane and down the back straight now, making sure to avoid that sausage curb on the exit. Now into the hairpin, we do give him a little push here, not intentionally, but it does help us to get alongside and just give Thomas a warning that we do want to get past sooner or later, considering Ewan is a little bit up the road now in the wheel tracks of Dave Cottrell ahead and the other two as well. Now I knew that I had to try my best to get past Thomas as quickly as possible here and make sure that the group of four ahead didn't get up the road. Through Billy's and down into turn one, Thomas gets it all out of shape on the wet patch on the inside, and we're able to cut underneath and gain that position, putting ourselves up into P12, getting good drive down the straight. Now going through the hairpin, Thomas isn't done and pokes his nose in just like we did a lap prior, although we are still able to keep that position going through the horseshoe and try our best to set our sights on Dave Cottrell up ahead, getting good drive through the final corner and making sure to stick in his slipstream as we go down the straight. Now there's a yellow flag going into turn one which will slow everyone up, although crucially we close up a little bit to Dave, which will hopefully make sure that we stay in his slipstream for as long as possible. He gets it a bit wrong going out of the chicane, getting it over the sausage curb here. He tries to stick it up the inside of you and takes a look, goes defensive. We're pretty much pushing him through the horseshoe now, bumper to bumper. Now I know that Dave is a quick driver here. If you remember from the first race, he sent it around the outside of us into hairpin one and then proceeded to clear off into the distance. So as I mentioned earlier, sticking in Dave's slipstream was the key thing here, especially around Clay Pigeon. There is nearly always a strong headwind coming down the main straight. So as we go through the chicane, making sure to stick in his wheel tracks as much as possible, don't run that sausage curb. And I always braked a little bit too early here. I'm not sure why I was doing that, as Thomas sends it up the inside, classes into the side of Dave, and then has to give us the position back to make sure he didn't get a penalty for going into the side of Dave. Going through the final corner now, Ewan is looking up the inside of the guy ahead, although it's not quite going to work for him. Still trying to get into Dave's slipstream as much as possible. We're just about trying to pull alongside, and looking back at this, I don't know why I didn't go for that move. We're all also on the final lap, going through the chicane. Everyone's bunching up a little bit here and coming down the main straight into hairpin one. Dave is going to lock up the brakes and go sideways, and we have nowhere to go but unfortunately straight into the side of him. Let's take a look at that now, back in slow motion.
And his name is John C.
So yeah, really unfortunate ending to the race there, to be honest. Although we only lost one position from it, so I guess it's not too bad. Through the horseshoe for the final time and through the final corner as well, as we're going to cross the line in 13th place, which from 23rd I am pretty happy with. I don't mind it. I think it's okay. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.